listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Welcome to ASEAN BIZ, your only choice for business updates covering ASEAN countries. I'm Chia.
And I'm Chong.
And together we bring you business news on everything that happens around the world that involves ASEAN countries.
Our Durian main story today is successful entrepreneurships during bad times. But before that, let's look at our current business updates on the topic of property outlook in 2016.
Yes, the property market is very interesting this year, right?
Yes, and we have seen a lot of big projects launches, luxury condos launches.
Yeah, plenty of launches this year.
And there's a lot of speculations in the market. They're saying that the property bubbles are going to burst. Maybe this 1-2 years.
We have already seen the prices dropping a bit, right? Especially on the more expensive types of properties.
Yes, and the demands are actually dropping. But that is just superficial. Maybe Andrew, you just give us some figures to enlighten our listeners.
You know? We have some figures here from the property market report.
And figures don't lie.
Yeah, figures are actually facts. In 2011, our total number of transactions, or rather total volume of transactions in Malaysia is about 138 billion ringgit. And it increased by a bit in 2012 but to 143 billion. That is an increase of about 5 billion.
Yes.
And 2013, we thought that we saw some slowdown in the growth. But
a lot of people are expecting 2013 to actually goes down, isn't it?
Yeah, but the figures actually went up. And it was at about 152 billion, up another almost 10 billion from 2012.
And 2014, people says that it's going to drop. Okay,
yeah,
that's always the thing, always the picture.
The figures went up another time. This time it went up by another 10 billion to 163 billion. But Eric, you remember that last year in 2014,
yes,
most of the properties are more expensive types, right?
Yes, we can see less units being sold, but in terms of money value is actually higher.
Yeah, it's true. The number of transactions dropped, but the value increased.
Probably because in KL, Penang and Johor Bahru, a lot of developers are launching luxurious condo. Because the scarcity of lands and the cost of land is so high, they have to sell a luxurious condo to actually make their profits. They can't be doing medium cost houses, they can't be doing low cost houses. So a lot of people are buying high end condos with a higher money value. That's why you see the money value actually goes up.
Those days, say maybe 10 years ago, condos cost about 200,000-300,000 or even less.
Even 300,000 condos, people will be having their eyes open up. And nowadays, we are looking at condos like 600,000.
New launches are all above 500,000.
It's all above 500,000. And if you want to get anything below 500, 400, is next to impossible.
Probably you buy the old ones.
Maybe the old ones that is so-called sub-sale, or maybe those are isolated areas. Anywhere that is around KL center or city centers is easily cost you about 600,000 and above.
So talking about this year, 2015, according to Mr. Siva Shankar, who is the CEO of PPC International Sdn Bhd, it is a property consultancy and real estate group. 2015 is rather a bad year when we have things like GST and also the 1MDB scandal having a negative impact on the property market. And GST seems to be supposed to be a knee-jerk reaction where every country in the world, when you first impose GST, everybody will start to panic and then the economy will go down.
People will feel that cost of goods actually increases.
Right.
And there are also some anticipations that certain cost of goods actually drops. But so it didn't materialize.
Mr. Siva actually expected this knee-jerk reaction to be exactly a knee-jerk reaction which lasts something like a couple of months. But it turns out that it lasted much longer than that.
Yes, and now it's almost year end and the knee-jerk is still there.
It's still jerking.
It's still jerking.
It's no more a knee-jerk reaction.
More knee-jerk reaction. It could be a so-called tremors.
Yeah. Right? Just like when we thought the knee-jerk is going to end, we have the 1MDB scandal. So this actually made things worse.
Yes.
Where people, the general public's perception is that our country is having a bad time economically and politically.
And in this so-called situations, I believe that quite a number of foreign buyers are also holding their horses.
Right.
You know,
Country's image.
Country
involved,
image. Unlike in 2013, 2014, we see quite an influx of foreign buyers in our property market. Right.
So
And
which is a type of property that took the most beating? The more expensive types, right?
The more expensive type, the luxury types, got the beating because the loans are not easy to get.
Especially condos costing more than $1 million. You need some rich buyers for those type of properties.
And Andrew, it's quite funny nowadays that any properties you just open them out, they say it's $1 million already. As long as the landed is considered $1 million. Oh, is it that easy to ask for $1 million for a property?
You try asking the bankers.
Because in those days, anything you open the mouth is million. It's like wow, it's a wow factor already.
Yeah.
But now, if you just talk about $1 million property, it's just like okay, it's $1 million. Right?
Yeah, you know, just like we talk about projects. Those days we lobby for projects costing tens or even hundreds of millions. But today, millions is no more
insignificant, not impressive.
All projects must be in billions.
You know? And I did come across that one lobbyist that talked about trillions. I scratched my head.
That's
right.
a bit too much.
That's a bit too much.
You know, but billions is quite a bit of money, right?
It's a lot of money. Okay, so you look at this kind of environment. Do you think that the property market is healthy at this situation to go into the market?
Right now, the general feeling, I believe, is that everybody is trying to hold back, and they know that some people are not able to pay their loans already. So if they actually start to go for auction, beginning of next year or even until the whole of next year, they would be able to buy properties cheaper. That is what I gather from a lot of people that I talk to.
Right, and looking at most of the launches, I mean luxury launches, you can see the developers are throwing in a lot of freebies. You know?
But Mr. Shiva, as we mentioned earlier, seems to be a bit more optimistic. According to his research, he believes that the market will recover starting from, say, the first or second quarter of 2016.
Well, yet to see, because we can't actually speculate what happens in the market.
Right, but it seems that this year itself is really quite bad. And according to Mr. Siva Shankar again, the condos that are taking the most beating is those costing above 500,000, say 5 to 800,000 ringgit, where you need to service your bank loan with an amount of say 3 or 4,000 ringgit, right?
Yes, and
so you need to rent out your place at that price.
And nowadays, condos, even those high-end condos, you can only fetch about 2,000, 2,005 per month.
Yeah, so it seems that the rental comes down from 3.35 to 3 to 2.5, and right now is almost below 2 already.
Yes, and consumers are actually spoiled with choices.
Yeah,
now
it's
they
a
can choose
renter's
and
market.
pick. It's a renter's market. So a lot of people who have cashed out their house, okay, are holding on to the cash and wait and see situations. They rather to rent for the time being, to stay in much more smaller houses on a rental property is fine,
right,
as long as they're holding the cash to wait for the next market.
So those buyers who are actually flippers earlier, who actually thought that they can buy a house for 500,000 and sell it for say 800 or 900,000. So right now they got to fork out some cash to pay their bank installments, assuming they can rent about say 2,000. They need to pay another 2,000 from their own resources to service the loan.
And I believe that the one that hurts more is this kind of flippers. We call that flippers, where they wanted to flip their properties. And there's more supply than demand, actually.
Yeah, if they can service their loan, there will be no problem.
Well,
but I believe some of them may not be able to service.
And I did come across quite a number of youngsters in their mid-20s, late 20s or early 30s. They're claiming that they have 2 houses, 3 houses, and some even claims they have 5 houses.
Yeah, some join those so-called property clubs where they invest 8 houses or 10 houses, all either on nothing down basis or very small down payment.
Carry out huge loans. So this kind of people might get hurt.
Yeah,
if
I think these young people might not be able to...
if their properties have not been rented out, or even though it's rented out, it's not towards the so-called repayment amount, then they will be in trouble. Can you imagine if one house you need to fork out 1,000 a month? If you have 8 houses, that's 8,000 extra per month you need to fork out just to maintain your 8 houses.
Right.
Okay?
So what's our advice for people in Malaysia if they were to go into the property market? At this moment, is it advisable, Eric? What do you think?
Well, I wouldn't be in a position to advise. Let's look at your personal situations. Why are you acquiring these properties? First ask the question, why?
You want to make money.
If you just want to make money,
Invest.
then how much of risk can you absorb? What's your risk appetite like? Are you able to absorb a huge risk or low risk? If you are unable to absorb any risk, don't even think about going in. There's no such thing as no risk.
Actually, to me, risk is an ugly word.
It's an ugly word.
Risk.
I hate to use it, but it just happens that we are all exposed to this kind of market risk.
Yeah, if you talk about market risk, which is something that
we can't
it's
control.
hard to predict. For example, one guy might say that you will recover by next year, early next year. Another guy says that end of next year, or it might not even recover next year, So there's something that is a bit uncertain.
And we have, I think the properties, when you look at properties, the main thing you look at is the locations. And I've been to quite a number of launches where the locations are actually outside of KL, in the suburban area, and the sales pitch by the salesperson is also talking about investment. Are you buying it for investment? Are you buying it for capital gain? Are you going for rental? I mean, if the location is so out of KL, how can you get a rental income?
Unless it's out of KL, but right beside that property, you have, say,
next
university or a college.
Education centers, then you may be able to get rental income.
You have tenants, it's okay.
Yeah, but then the next question they will pose, they are saying that they're speculating that the house prices will increase, they are going in as capital gain. But let's be skeptical. When your property is outside of KL, don't even think of capital gain in the next 5 to 10 years.
Right. Yeah, that's a bit difficult, right?
I mean, if you want to put your money where your mouth is, you have to play with a little bit of skepticism.
Yeah, sometimes people, for example, the property market for things like landed terrace houses is still okay. A lot of people will buy.
People will still buy terrace houses, and in fact, a lot of people are looking for terrace houses.
And I believe compared to a condo, it's quite cheap. You still can get new launches of terrace houses less than $1 million, maybe $500,000, something
that
around
is
there.
outside of KL. And looking at the traveling costs and the toll charges, with the ever increasing toll charges, if you stay outside of KL, please put that into your costing. Right? So even for your tenants, they also will put that in the costing. So which means to say your properties might not be able to fetch good rentals.
So our advice would be careful with your investment. Make sure if you want to rent it out, there is a ready pool of tenants.
Yes.
So it won't be risky for you.
First criteria is look at the locations. Don't look at the features. The features of the condos can be very attractive. So people will just buy it because of the features of the condo, but without so-called giving a second thought about the locations.
Right, especially if you are talking about flipping. I believe right now, or even in the next year, it is not a good time to do flipping where you try to buy something at 1 million and sell for 1.5 or 2 million.
And
it's not likely to happen.
If you look at flipping, those existing sub-sale, it's not possible to flip anymore. And those that are not ready, when you buy it, you sign the S&P and you need to wait 3 to 4 years. We wouldn't know 3 to 4 years what will happen in the property market. And nowadays you can see those condos are start to build higher and higher. Anything that's above 35 stories, we are looking at a 4 years waiting period for the property to be ready. So what happens during these 4 years? We wouldn't know.
Yeah, 4 years, anything happen, right?
Anything happens, the developer might go bankrupt. But I mean, so the next thing, if you're buying properties that are not ready, have to have a waiting period. Please go to a good developers where they have good track records.
And talking about foreign buyers, if you're from other countries in ASEAN, if you want to buy a house in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, the house limit I think is about 2 million, right?
Yes. Yeah. If
within KL city,
within KL city is easily about 2 million per property.
I mean, the approved amount that they are allowed to buy. They are not allowed to buy anything less than 2 million.
It depends on what status they are coming in as. Is they are coming in as the Malaysia second home?
Yeah, if MM2H,
then the minimum amount is 1 million.
Right.
Okay, they have to put in 1 million.
Used to be half a million,
used to be half a million properties. Now it's increased to 1 million properties. But for those who are already Malaysia second home, 1 million to them is nothing, because you are talking about what, 200 over thousand US dollars.
So for new investors, if they do not have what they call MM2H or Malaysia second home, they can only buy properties costing more than 2 million.
More than 2 million.
2 million or more.
Yes, and this type of buyers might not be flippers. They are just landowners that were looking for rental income.
Unless they want to stay in Malaysia, they love this country. And by the way, Malaysia is a beautiful country.
Yes, I always say that.
If you buy something a bit more outskirt, the government allows you to buy 1 million. Above.
Depends on the location. That's why I say when you look for property, first thing is locations. Right? So, guys, please place your bets. Where you want to place your bets.
Sounds interesting, okay? Where you bet whether next year is going to be a tough year for properties, or is it going to be much more relaxed. One of the factors could be if the banks reduce or relax their guidelines for loans, then the property market will be much better. If the banks continue to be strict and it's not easy to get loans, then the property market may not be so good.
Yes, if the banks are not giving loans, not even the property markets, the car market will also be affected. Right? Okay, we will take a short break now, and we'll be back with our main story for today. Stay tuned, guys.
Welcome back, guys. You're listening to ASEAN BIZ, and our Durian main story today is successful entrepreneurship during bad times. But as usual, before we bring on our main story, Eric is going to share with us his funny business moment. And the title of his story today is Let's Have a Drink.
Okay. Recently I just passed by and saw this poster. It's actually caught my attention. There's a cartoon of a camel and a cartoon of a man holding a
Your
pint
camel
of
is
beer.
so sweet.
Okay, the camel looks very sweet. And there's two statements here. A camel can work for a whole week without drinking.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. A man can drink for a whole week without working. It's
Sure
very
can.
true, isn't it? A man can just keep on drinking, especially it's beer or liquor, and they can keep on drinking without working for a whole week.
Right, I need a beer.
Okay, let's go for a beer break.
Okay, thank you, Eric, for that funny business moment. Welcome back to the show, guys. You're listening to ASEAN BIZ, your only choice for business updates covering ASEAN countries. I'm your host, Andrew Chia, and together with me is Eric Chong, and we bring you business news on everything that happens around the world which involves ASEAN countries.
The title of our Durian main story today is Successful Entrepreneurship During Bad Times. And this story is brought to you by courtesy of research done at CENFIS, the Centre for Financial Intelligence Studies based in London. First, let's look at some of the factors for business successes.
We are talking about bad times, right? And Eric, I believe a lot of people in Malaysia and in some other ASEAN countries like Thailand are facing rather bad times with a slowing economy and slowing market. I understand Thailand has been having a drop in the GDP successfully for almost a year.
Yes, and looking at it, these statements of business in bad times is actually been floating around for the past 10 years, past 20 years.
Yeah, some people tell me
Almost
that business has been bad for as long as they can remember.
Yeah, every year when the year starts, everybody will say, we're expecting a bad year this year. And they keep
Not
on
very
progressing.
positive, right?
It's not positive. Maybe they just want to shy away from the income tax a bit. Right? To say that, to paint a bad picture first.
What I noticed, Eric, is that even during so-called good times, there are many companies and businesses that are not doing well.
It's true in effect because depends on what industry you are in. Even in bad times, there's quite a number of industries also make good money. Even in a thriving time,
right.
A lot of businesses also went bankrupt. So it depends on the situations that you are in, the business that you are in, and what sort of products you are putting out in the marketplace.
Right. Maybe we take a closer look at some of the factors that cause people's business to be successful. For example, number one on the list could be a good economy and a buoyant market.
Yes, this looking at a lot of big projects coming in, especially construction projects.
Right. And the stock market is good.
When you have big construction projects, that is in the mid-90s, early 90s, you have big construction projects. The economy is booming. Everybody have cash. Everybody is loaded.
Good times is good for business.
Might or might not, it's good for money spending. And there's a lot of so-called consumer markets will be supported by the good times there.
Secondly, a lot of people believe, and maybe it's true having a good product really helps. For example, an iPad or an iPhone is a good product, right?
Yes.
And it's selling like hotcakes.
These are fat products. People actually go for it because it's gadget, is in the trendy products.
I saw a cartoon on my Facebook this morning. It says, you spend all your money on your iPhone, right? Your fridge now is empty.
Yeah, it's true because now iPhone is cost how much? Right, close to 3,000.
iPhone 6, right? The latest release.
iPhone 6s is close to 3,000 plus. Also, and can you imagine? It's not easy to afford 3,000.
Yeah, can you imagine people spend on phone rather than food?
Yeah, and you're talking about food. $3,000, you can actually feed a family of 4 or 5 for 2 months or 3 months. Right.
Yes. And then next we are talking about good management and good supporting staff that will cause your business to run well and become more profitable.
So I have seen this cartoon that said a good boss and a good employee equals to big profits.
I think it's true.
It's true. Then you have I can't remember the cartoons. You have a stupid boss plus a good employee. You get wastage.
Yeah, that brings us to our next point, that is having a great leader.
Like
for example, Steve Jobs, a great leader will spur the company and make every department, the marketing staff, all the production staff, everybody works hard and become very innovative, and the business is profitable.
And a good leader actually gives the workers a sense of belonging. Actually, if you look deeper into a company, the workers actually looking for a sense of belonging in the company rather than just the paycheck.
Right. So all these factors are good for business success. So on the other hand, things that cause business failure would be probably the opposite of all that we mentioned just now.
Yes. Like let's say I mentioned like a stupid boss or a boss who is don't have empathy on their staff. Then they just take for granted, they go and exploit the staff. Then these are the things that doesn't drive the company forward.
But there are some bosses that are very bad on the staff, but somehow they manage to make a lot of profits. Slave drivers and people who exploit their staff, but they are good. They have good business acumen. They know what products products
to sell, and some of the actually, if you look at the sales staff, some will just look at the products. If it's easy products to sell, then the sales people can actually achieve target quite easily. They would not move around because the product is so easy to sell. They just go in, write the orders, fill in the orders, and that's it. So these are the things that keep the sales staff in the company despite of a bad boss.
Yes. And I read somewhere that Steve Jobs, who is the greatest entrepreneur in the world,
and is considered a slave driver.
He's not exactly an angel to all his staff,
Yes, that's true.
But he managed to make so much profit.
And probably if you look at if you watch the movie Steve Jobs, you can actually see that how he drive the company. It's more towards his idea, pushing through his ideas and his innovations through the staff, and make sure that every staff across the board understand what he wanted to transmit to the company.
Right. Sometimes to become a boss, you have to be a bit of a dictator. Otherwise, other people, the staff in the company will tell you how to run the company.
Yes, because staff always says that the boss don't know how to run the company.
Yeah.
You know, we have been employees before. We also have the same feelings. You know, we always commented that our boss don't know how to behave like a boss.
Right.
Just
Some
because
people
the boss
actually
doesn't
say,
pay bonuses.
yeah, Eric, some people say that if the staff is so smart, then probably they should become the boss, isn't it?
Yes.
So they being staff shows that the boss is smarter.
Right. So I actually comes across this during my early days working, and I still remember these statements my boss make to me. He said, Eric, wait till you become your own boss. Okay, so
it's quite true.
It still holds on inside my mind, and every time an employee start to complain about the bosses, I said, one day you will become boss. You know, then you will see what are the things you got to look at.
It's not easy, right?
It's not easy because being a boss, you actually have to work doubly hard than your employees. You know, your workers.
So, after talking about all the factors that cause businesses to be successful or not successful, however, at Sandfish, the researchers noticed that there is one factor that is more important than the rest. It is the critical factor affecting the success or failure of a business, and that is called marketing.
It's true, but I mean, marketing plays a major role.
Yeah, it seems obvious to me, because if you talk about business in general, from the smallest business you operate a mama shop to the biggest Fortune 500 company, you basically have three departments where you have marketing and production, and there's a finance department that puts everything together.
Yes.
Okay, so the marketing department is actually the one that brings you business,
drives
right?
the whole thing. And you actually looks at it, the marketing department is normally held by the boss.
Right.
It's headed by the boss itself because he knows the market well, he knows the product well.
So you must decide what to sell, where to sell to who, at what price, what kind of channels to use to sell his products, right? So these are the most important decisions in a business. Because without customers, you will have no business, right?
And these kind of decisions can only be made by the bosses.
Exactly, he should make it.
You cannot delegate these decisions to your subordinates.
Right.
Your subordinates don't know what you are thinking, and they might make the wrong decisions and move into the wrong directions. Right? So, but marketing is quite a generous topic. And what are the specific factors that we got to look into the marketing itself?
Right, like we mentioned just now, marketing involves things like the product, the price, maybe the logo, the advertising and promotion campaign, so many factors. And what exactly are we talking about when we talk about marketing?
There are a lot of academics that always says that marketing is about perceptions, how people perceive your companies to be, how people perceive your market to be, and how you position your products.
So we are talking about marketing as the main factor, according to research at Sandfish, that makes a company successful or makes entrepreneurship successful. But so
and then from my point of view, I mean personal point of view, what I see is that marketing is actually the marketers who plays on the psychology of the consumers.
Right, it's a perception.
It's a perceptions. And how you're going to place your products in the market for the marketplace to perceive your product as. It's not how good your product is, it's not how bad your product is.
Right. So that's the secret of the success, and we'll have more of that when we come back after a short break.
Okay.
So stay with us, guys. Don't go away. Welcome back, guys. You're listening to ASEAN BIZ, and our Durian main story today is successful entrepreneurship during bad times. But before we continue with the concluding part of our story, let's take a short break to get a health tip from Eric Chong, who is our health and fitness coach. Eric runs the 100 km marathon himself, and his health tip story for today is how to live a longer and healthier life.
I came across this article. This particular article actually caught my attention recently. Okay, it's by this Dr. Mark Rovert. I think he's in Ireland. He just came up with a book called A Prescription for Happiness. So there are 4 pointers on how to live longer and healthier. Number 1, he says, meditate. Having a mindful meditation is what I call the silver bullet for well-being. It slows down the mind and allow us to de-stress and live in the moment. It only takes about 10 minutes a day. Then number 2, don't take a pill for every ills. If you are too happy, too sad, too fat, or too thin, popping a pill seems to be the answer. Well, move forward. Become an active participant in your own well-being. There should be less pills and more skills like coping with adversities and doing more exercises. Right?
That's true.
Rather than just popping pills, which a lot of people are very prone to it.
Easy way out.
Easy way out. Slight pain, they said they pop a Panadols. Right. Then the third, exercise for the mind and body. Exercise is the greatest pill of all, not just because of the benefits to physical health. It's a miracle growth for the brain, Dr. Rowan says. It's a great way to blow off steams, boost confidence, and feel happier, thanks to the release of brain chemicals like serotonin. And of course you have other hormones like so-called endorphins, this kind of hormones that actually generates well-being. Then the next thing is express gratitude. Right. Dr. Rowan says there is a growing body of research linking gratitude with better health. Expressing gratitude is all about wanting what you have, and is a fantastic way to feel better. It's not possible to feel grateful and also to feel negative, cynical, and hostile at the same time, which means that you express gratitude, you wouldn't feel negative.
Yeah, I think the doctor is right, because we are seeing a lot of articles and posts on Facebook. People are starting to realize that being grateful is something
especially grateful
important.
To your parents, grateful to what you have, is very important to your lifestyles and into your well-being. And recently there's an article in China, they're actually imposing a law for children to express their gratitude to their parents.
You need a law for that, right?
Yes, because probably they felt that the youngsters in China are actually not showing gratitude to their parents. It's a spoiled brats, or they call the little emperor. So it's true facts. It's funny, but it's true facts that when you express gratitude, you tend to feel better.
I believe so.
Right. So Andrew, please express more gratitude to me.
Please buy me more lunches.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, thanks, Eric, for that wonderful health tip. Let's continue with our Durian main story today, which is successful entrepreneurship during bad times.
Right. According to Samfis, the most important factors for marketing successes and hence business successes is differentiation or USP, unique selling propositions. So maybe Andrew, you just enlighten our listeners a bit on what you mean by differentiations or USP in a sense.
Differentiation simply means to differentiate.
Yes.
When your customer walks into your shop, Eric, why should I buy this product?
And you're looking at nowadays the products in the marketplace are so homogeneous
Right.
at times, and services are so stereotypes, personality are so robotic. So how can you differentiate yourself away from all this kind of
because it's
scenarios?
a very common comment from the customer. Eric, why should I buy from your shop? There are so many shops out there selling the same product, right?
Yes.
So businessmen, before they actually open a shop, a lot of people don't think about all this. But once they start to open a shop and customers walk in, most customers will ask them this question. Then they start to realize, oh my God, why didn't I think about this before I started my business? Now I don't know how to answer my
By
customers.
the time he already spent hundreds of thousands in the renovations,
Yeah, probably
in buying
millions,
equipment.
you know.
Right.
And he cannot explain his
Maybe
differentiation point.
The first point that he's come, I spent $500,000 on my renovations.
Are you impressed or not?
Are you impressed? No.
And the customer does not seem very impressed, right?
Is that my issues?
So you have to scramble for an answer. For example, people will say that my product is better. That will open another big can of worms.
Yes. In
And
what
the
sense
customers
is
will ask
better?
you, why do you say that your product is better?
Yeah.
Then you've got to explain. You know, the Chinese say that when you start to explain, it's very difficult.
And you are covering more when you explain.
You're trying to lie sometimes, you know. So you're just trying to make a business successful. But in order to do that, you have to explain to the customer in the simplest terms why he or she should buy your product and particularly buy from your shop.
Does that mean that any businesses before they opens up, or any entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, they first have to identify their products and their product uniqueness in the market before they put it out in the marketplace.
We believe so, but unfortunately, most people are too caught up with their product
Excitement. They are
yes.
too excited to put the products in the market.
Yes, and do you notice, Eric, a lot of people find that, hey, my friend is operating a shop, for example, selling bubble tea, and he's making tons of money. Why do I need to crack my head to think of a new product or a new business model?
Let's sell bubble tea.
Yeah, let's just do whatever he does. Let's not reinvent the wheel, like they say. That product is successful and it's good. A lot of people love it. Why should I sell something else, isn't it?
Let me sell bubble tea beside him.
Right, and you find that very soon a lot of people are selling bubble tea beside him itself.
So these are the kind of so-called business traps which a lot of people falls into because they're just reluctant to spend more time to do their homework. And even though in a business that have been in the marketplace for years, for hundreds of years, people still need to spend time to actually carve out their niche.
Eric, sometimes people get confused. People say that go with the flow. Don't fight against the trend or the tide. Everybody loves this, so just sell this thing. Okay, it makes sense, right?
It makes sense, but despite going with the flow, let's look at a windsurfer. There are hundreds of windsurfers, even though at a competitions, there will be one or two surfers will have a slight difference in their surfboard. This makes them the winner. No doubt everybody surf the same wave, same weather, probably the same technique, but a small difference in the board will make a difference. So same thing with your products. Even though you say you go with the flow, your product still needs to stand up with the flow.
Somehow it's not that simple like they think. For example, a lot of people sell coffee. There have been coffee shops since time immemorial, right?
Yes.
Then we have a Coffee Bean, we have Starbucks, and they actually sell things that look like coffee, but it's not coffee. They sell lifestyle, for example. So people go into that expensive coffee shop and buy coffee, but they're not actually buying coffee. They are making use of that place to meet their customers.
They just want the environment. Of course, on top of that, with a good cup of coffee, with beautiful cartoons on top of it, like barista.
So that is how people differentiate their coffee, probably by not selling coffee. Same thing goes for things like watches or bags or whatever else. Where people don't actually sell watches, they sell the luxury or some lifestyle or something like that. Sell the pride of owning that.
So these are the things. Same things like IKEA. They say, is IKEA selling products? No, actually IKEA is selling a concept. Right, so it's a different thing. They are not actually selling furniture; they're selling you a concept. So these are the things that makes them stand out. And
so these are the traps that a lot of entrepreneurs they don't realize. So they thought their friend is selling, say, bubble tea, but they fail to realize that there's something different. They are probably selling a very high quality of bubble tea, or they may not be selling bubble tea at all. It could be that that particular location is near a college with tons of traffic, and you can just sell something that appeals to the students, and they'll come in and have a chat there, and business will be very good. So they go and sell bubble tea in some other location without that crowd.
Yes, and you can see that a lot of students, especially students, they tend to going for the trend, the glamour products, those that are easy products for them to grab, like just a bubble tea or even just a cup of coffee. They just grab it with the good environment. So these are the things that a lot of businesses, entrepreneurs should look into. What sort of business they wanted to go in, and where they want to go in, where's their marketplace, and how can their product stand out in that marketplace, and who are their competitions in the market.
That's why we notice even during bad times, there are a lot of businesses that are making lots of money simply because they understand the concept of differentiation. It is not a bad economy or bad market that kills a business most. It is a competition.
Competitions and bad marketing.
Yes. So, having said that, it's true that even during good times, if you do not market properly and differentiate your products properly, you will still fail.
Yes,
the business will still not
I believe
be successful.
That Samfish have a full library of business failures and business successes,
examples and case studies
and examples. So for our listeners who like to know more, delve more on the examples, maybe can just write into Samfis, and then they can give you more examples.
Samfisacademy@gmail.com.
Samfisacademy@gmail.com. Right. And then today's businesses, right, is fail mostly due to too much competitions, as we mentioned earlier.
Right.
Other than bad economies.
So for entrepreneurs who are already doing business or people who are trying to start a business, think about this. If your customer walks in your shop right now and asks you, what's special about your product and why should I buy from you? If you can give a good answer to that, then the chances of your business succeeding is much higher.
Well, actually it's quite difficult. In a sense for businessmen or entrepreneurs to look into the differentiations. Let's just take for examples like technology gadgets. Everybody is running on the same platform, everybody is running on the same OS, or even price the same.
Right.
But makes your product sales. These are the things. Let's look at handphones. Smartphones.
We talking about handphones. Those days we used to have Motorola. Then we have Nokia.
And the features actually varies. But nowadays, even the very cheap one also have the full features of the very expensive ones.
Yes.
So these are the things that why your products need to stand out.
Not only you need to have a USP or your differentiation point, but you need to continually upgrade that, because sometimes your competitors can actually catch up with your product and have all your features and all your selling points.
Yes, and
so you need to come up with new selling points.
And within these 2 years, I believe that we've seen quite a lot of examples of this kind of situations where cheaper products having a full features of the more expensive products.
Yeah.
So it gives these big guys a run for their money.
Yes, and you are talking particularly about technology products, which I believe is very difficult to keep coming up with new innovation, and your competitors are chasing right on your heels all the time, right?
Yes, and well, that's something we say about technology products. So what about services? Like services, some of the services are so stereotypes and so homogeneous. Let's look at secretarial services. Some people are charging 150 retention per month, some are charging $50 per month. So there are these things called, even though you are a company secretarial, you have to stand out. What makes you charge 150 against people who charge $50?
Probably your company is very well known, a big lawyer firm, perhaps.
Lawyer firms, So even services, you need to differentiate yourself. You cannot just say, I provide good service. You cannot just say that.
So it's more of a homogeneous kind of thing where you have the economics of demand and supply. You have 1,000 companies, you have 10 secretarial companies to look after them. So probably you can still survive because a lot of people are looking for secretaries.
Yes.
But if you have so much competition where you have so many companies doing secretarial services, then you must think of something else to differentiate. Maybe provide something extra, And one of the things that we notice that can differentiate is to become more specialized. For example, Eric, you remember during our school days or younger days, we have only sort of 1 or 2 brands of shoes.
Yes.
The Badminton Master or the Fong Kiong. Sorry, we are revealing our age.
During our age.
Oh my God. Okay.
Bata, we have Dunlop. Dunlop is considered high end already.
And then we have the Badminton Master, which is a shoe for all seasons and purposes. You play football with it, you run with it, you tennis, basketball, everything is only one shoe.
If you see your classmate wearing an Adidas, wow. He's a rich boy already.
That is a special shoe for sports. Okay, but today we have so many different types of shoes. For example, one shoe for jogging, one for basketball, and that basketball shoe you cannot use it for tennis. And tennis shoes cannot definitely not be used for football.
That's what the marketing people tells you, and the manufacturer tells you.
Yes.
Right.
So if you have something, whether it's true or not is besides the point.
That's not the point.
You can tell the customer, right, these shoes is only specially for you to climb your hills and doing jungle trekking. Yeah.
So
that's where you have a differentiation.
So, Andrew, are you hinting to me?
I'm hinting to you to start a business doing just that.
Right.
If there's no such product in the market yet, I'm not sure. Are there any shoes?
In a way, consumers will get caught with all this so-called information.
People feel that if they can afford it, they would like to go to a specialist. For example, with people who are poor, just go to a GP anywhere, any clinic will do. But if you're a rich kid, you must go to a hospital or a specialist center, a pediatrician, or something like that.
Still go for the same flu.
Where the same, yeah, exactly. You're just having a common cold or a flu, where any doctor or even your grandmother can prescribe something that
and
cure
the
it.
prescription is still the same.
Yeah, but because you have money, you must go for a specialist. Yeah, that's how people make money in the world of consumerism.
Especially sportswear nowadays, they actually have a vast differentiation on sportswear. Even for running clothing, they have differentiate for heat running or cold running.
Right, now we understand exactly why businessmen do that. So because they can tell the customers why you need to buy from me, because I'm the only guy selling this.
Yes. So after you buy the so-called heat materials, you need to buy a cool materials, which means a runner will have two.
He's being sucked.
He's been sucked. Yeah, talking to me, I actually been stuck to have a.
And you're happy being a sucker.
Yeah, I've been stuck to purchase 12 pairs of shoes for my running and hiking. So that's the thing. For long distances you have different shoes. For short distances you have different shoes. These are the things.
Right, guys. That's exactly the most important point about being successful as an entrepreneur. You must always have a USP to differentiate yourself from the competition. In this world today, I believe we are not so lucky where we don't have competitors.
Yes.
For example, if you stay in a very small town, very out of the way, probably you have very few competitors there. But if you are in a city like Kuala Lumpur or Singapore, you can bet that whatever you're selling, someone else is also selling.
It's also selling. So for those entrepreneurs who actually can't find their USP, find someone who can mentor you. Talk to some experienced businessman in your field who don't mind sharing their experiences with you. Or you can write to Andrew.
Yes, I will help you to tap on the research by Sandfish and give you stories like, for example, let's share one story about computers. Everybody is selling computers, HP, Compare, Intel, IBM.
Yes.
This Michael Dell fella, he sells the same computer, but he just differentiates by selling it direct to you, without going to dealers. That is one example of how you can differentiate your business. Yes. You can sell it by repackaging your things, your stuff, and it's actually a differentiation point already.
And I still remember our business day, our computer days. I believe we are the most expensive PCs in the market that we are selling.
And we have no problem selling that. Because we had a USP.
USP and
customers were forced to buy from us.
Right. So the first thing we said, our products come with a 3 years warranty. And then we respond to you immediately. We do a one-to-one swap. Without anything.
Yeah, you eliminate the headache for the customers.
Yes. So
but that USP is not applicable today, Eric, because those days people are not computer savvy, and repairing computers is a big headache for them. But today, our customers, or rather their kids are so clever, they can take apart the whole computer and repair
and put it back together
themselves.
So don't take this anymore. It's not this USP is not applicable at this moment.
That's why we are saying just now that technology products is very difficult to protect your USP, because everybody gets smarter every day.
And times change, technology change. Okay? Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the show. We will be back with a brand new story for our Durian main story on ASEAN Biz at the next edition.
Bye for now.